There are two versions of you. You have the ego part of you, and then you have the higher self or the higher mind. Now, most humans operate from their egos and are disconnected from their higher self. And the difference between the ego and the higher self is the ego is the part of the mind. It's your identity, your personality, but it's also your negative way of thinking. And the ego pretty much fucks your life up. It steers you in the wrong way. It creates problems in your life, things like self-sabotage. Whereas the higher self is connected to your soul, and your higher self resides in a higher state of consciousness. So when you're connected to your higher self, you're able to download information that will help you and guide you on your journey, and your higher self will steer you the right way. So this is why we want to connect to our higher self and listen to what our higher self's telling us and not the ego. And think of it like in the cartoons, right? I remember watching the cartoons as a kid, and you've got the little devil on the shoulder and the angel on the shoulder. So the devil on your shoulder that's telling you the negative things is the ego, because the ego's the negative way of thinking. And then the little angel on the shoulder that's telling you the positive things, that's your higher self or higher mind. And before I even learnt that we had a higher self, I was receiving information from it. But the way it worked was basically I would be puzzled. I'd have something on my mind, like a problem that I was puzzled about, and I'd be I'd have a negative perspective on this problem. And then just out of nowhere, I would just receive this positive wisdom and clarity that shifted my perspective from being negative to positive. It was like this positive wisdom and clarity that came through was able to make me look at the problem from a different angle. And then I was like, oh, and I understood the situation better. I had no idea what was happening until I learned about the higher self. And I was like, that's what the higher self is. So when you're connected in with your higher self, you will receive intuitive guidance that will help you to create the amazing life that you want for yourself. So in this video, I'm going to share 3 ways that you can connect to your higher self so that you're able to start channeling this information, because all of us, every single human being, has the ability to channel. And that's basically what it is. When you're getting spiritual downloads, you're just channeling. So the first way to do this is meditation. The meditation you want to do for this is the meditation where you just sit in silence by yourself. You don't want to be using guided meditations for this. Now, what meditation gets you to do is it gets you to drop out of the head and into the body. And that's the key to connecting to your higher self, because the ego's the mind. If you're up in your head, the ego's always talking, blah, 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 like it never shuts up. And if you're in your head with this ego constantly talking at you, you can't get those, intuitive guidance from the higher self. So the key is getting out of the head and into the body. So as you go into a meditative state and you close your eyes, you're disconnecting from the external environment. And so because you've disconnected from the external environment, you have less sensory information going in. And because you've got less sensory information going in, your neocortex will start dropping your brain waves. And so that's the key to getting out of the head and into the body. So as your brain waves drop, you'll go from beta to alpha to theta. You've dropped from your head and into the heart, because when you're connected to the heart, you're connected to your soul, which is connected to the higher self. And this is when the ego goes quiet. You have no thoughts, because you've broken through the analytical mind, the chatter brain that never shuts up. So the ego goes quiet, you become pure consciousness, and you're in your body. And that is the key to connecting to the higher self and receiving these intuitive messages. Now, what I recommend is, before you go into meditation, is to set the intention. Like if you have a problem that you're wanting guidance on, you set the intention and you call on your higher self and spirit guides to help you. So just ask them, higher self, spirit guides, I need help with this problem, whatever it may be. You can set the intention, before going into the meditation. And then, like I said, drop out of the head and into the body. And as you just hang out in your little internal world, this is when these messages will just start randomly popping up. The way I describe this to people is like, it's similar to have you ever just out of nowhere, you've got an inspired idea, like, oh, I got an idea. You just received this inspired idea out of nowhere. It's the same thing. You just will be sitting in your internal world and then just out of nowhere, oh, this little thought will pop up that will tell you should do this or you should do that. And you'll know it's your higher self by how you feel. Like if you feel inspired, energized, it resonates with you, it makes you feel good and positive, that's your higher self. Anything that comes from the ego is like fear-based and negative. So another thing I'll point out is this can be like a practice, right? So let's say you set the intention, you go into meditation and you're sitting in there and nothing comes up. You might come out of meditation and think, well, that didn't work. Realize this. Firstly, it's a practice. This is something I've practiced a lot with. And the best way the best way I've learnt to do this is just trial and error. Getting to know my ego, getting to know my higher self, learning to differentiate between the two, that's the key. And that, like I say, that's just through practice and trial and error, and eventually you'll get more and more familiar with each of them. So if something doesn't come up your first time trying this, that's okay. What can happen is you may, set your intention, go into meditation, you didn't receive any messages, you go about your day, and then later on in the day, you might be on social media, and then a meme, this happens to me a lot, a meme comes up that was basically, like as you read it, you're like, that's literally a response to what your intention was earlier in the day when you went into meditation. So the point I'm making is even if something doesn't come up straight away, it can still come up in like later in the day in a form of a different type of communication, where it could be you've heard something on a podcast that's like a response to your intention. You've seen a meme that's like a response to your intention and your problem. So just be mindful of that as well. Now, the second way you can connect to your higher self is automatic writing. Automatic writing is journaling. So you can channel your higher self by journaling. And it's very similar to meditation, where you just set an intention on what you want guidance on, and you can just write it at the top of the page. And then you ask your higher self or spirit guides to help you and assist you with this problem. And then you just start writing, and you write until you experience a breakthrough. Now, there are little tips to look out for that, like tips for success that you have connected to your higher self. So one tip is your writing speeds up. So I've been in a journaling session where I'm writing, and then out of nowhere, my writing speeds up because the information that's coming through is a lot. So my writing speeds up to try to get it all down onto paper. That's a good sign that you're channeling from your higher self. Another one is the message that you're writing resonates, or it makes you feel inspired, energized, positive, relieved, uplifted, makes you feel good. That's a good sign. And another sign is it's not your voice. What I mean by that is when I've had a journaling session like this, I noticed it was a very interesting observation. I noticed that I would start writing saying, I, blah, 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 I, blah, 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 like I'm referring to myself as I. But then out of nowhere, when my writing starts speeding up, the I changes to you. You, blah, 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 blah. You, blah, like it's almost as if someone else is speaking to me, telling me you need to be doing this, or you know what I mean? So I just thought that was a very interesting observation with my own journaling. And like I say, the message that was coming through resonated and it helped me with my problem. So that's how you know if you have successfully connected to your higher self in a journaling session. Again, if you have a journaling session, you've tried it for the first time and nothing happened, nothing came through, that is okay. These things are a practice. The more you do it, the better you will get, the more you will start channeling, the more you'll get familiar with when you're connecting to your higher self. So all of this is just a practice. If it doesn't happen the first time, don't like beat yourself up about it. You know, try again another time. It's because for me, like, it was just really trial and error and practice over a certain amount of time to the point where I can start channeling my higher self every single day. Now, the third tip I have for you is a really simple tip, and that is simply to go for a walk in nature. So there have been times where I've had a problem on my mind where I'm puzzled and I'm like, what the heck do I do about this? And I might be feeling a bit stressed out, you know, about it. I will literally go for a walk in nature, and that's because nature is another great way to get you out of the head and out of the ego. Just by being in nature, it reduces your stress and anxiety. It calms and grounds your energy, and because it grounds your energy, that's what helps to get you out of the head and grounded in the body. Because the key with connecting to your higher self is being in the body and connected to your heart. So it's the same idea. You could have that intention in mind of what you're wanting help with, like whatever problem it is, asking your higher self and spirit guides to help you and assist you with this problem, and then just go for a walk. Don't force any messages to come up, because I find if you're trying to force a message to come up to help you, it doesn't normally come through. It's normally when you're in a relaxed state. So like meditation gets you in a relaxed state, journaling can get you in that relaxed state, and just by being in nature, it gets you in that relaxed state because it's getting you out of the ego and out of the head. So you just go for a walk in nature, and like I've had this happen for me where I've had the problem in my mind, I'm just going for a walk, I'm pretty relaxed, grounded in the body, and then all of a sudden, information just starts popping up in my internal world, these responses and answers of what I should do. And again, it's the same idea. If the information that's coming through makes you feel relieved, positive, uplifted, inspired, it resonates, you've connected to your higher self. So I highly recommend practicing all three of these things. You don't have to use all three if you don't want to. They're just different ways to, try them out to see what works best for you. But it's a great practice because you can literally train yourself to, be connected to your higher self on a daily basis. So you're constantly receiving information, and the information that you get from the higher self will steer you the right way in life. It will help you to know what you should be doing to create your amazing life, your amazing reality. As long as if you're always operating from the ego and listening to the ego fucks things up. It will steer you the wrong way. So this is why I highly recommend practicing these things, because it will really improve your life. I hope you liked this video and you got some sort of value. And if you did, let me know by smashing that like button or write a comment. If you like this sort of content, make sure you subscribe. I'm going to link another video here if you want to watch another one that will be a great follow-up one to this one. Have an awesome day. Peace.